The American West is a place of lore and legend, of triumphs and tragedies. No one can tell the true stories of the West better than author Rick Steber, and now there's a podcast showcasing his work. It's called Writing the West, and every episode will feature his short stories and his poetry. If you want to know the true stories of cowboys, pioneers, miners, and Native Americans, this 15-minute podcast is for you. Writing the West is available on Spotify, Audible, Podbean, or wherever you get your listening matter. That's Writing the West, the work of Rick Steber.
Hello, and welcome to the Oregon Files podcast. First, our disclaimer. We are novice podcasters simply for entertainment and knowledge. If we misquote or offend, it was not on purpose to do so. And once again, I'm going to be talking about some regional areas here in the Pacific Northwest. I tried to study on how to say the names, but I'm going to mess a couple up. This is Bigfoot 3.
Revenge of the Bigfoot.
Revenge of the Bigfoot. So we're doing another Bigfoot episode. New stories for you and everything. Yeah, that's my co-host, Elliot Bowman.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much. Happy May, everyone. It is May 2nd. Year is cruising right along here until to some good weather. It is also May 4th. May the 4th will be with you. And I was going to ask you, do you do anything special each year for May the 4th? Food, movies, you guys celebration you do?
It's a sacred day in my house.
It's a sacred.
Everyone must dress accordingly.
You rotate costumes each year, different characters.
Everyone gets to be a different character every year. It's crazy how much
it's like Halloween for Star Wars.
The Chewbacca and Bigfoot costumes kind of overlap a little bit.
Do you do a good Chewbacca?
I do not do. I don't have that throw. I can't even roll my R's in Spanish. Yeah. How about you?
No, I'm not going to do it.
You're not going to?
No. I don't think I could do it. I wouldn't do it justice. I think I probably would do it good off air after a couple beers. That's probably a good Chewbacca.
Yeah, you got to be in the mood for it.
Yeah, that's right. But do you have a certain movie? Do you rotate like the movies? Yeah.
You got to watch at least one of the movies, one of the good shows because some of them aren't so good.
Right.
But yeah, no. How about you? Do you celebrate?
I probably will this year. I'll get caught up on Andor. That's been pretty good.
Yes.
And then I'll throw something on in the background besides that.
Any Jawa juice?
No Jawa juice. No, I haven't submerged myself in the lore like as much as you have, so I might rely on some tips in a couple of days. And then, of course, Cinco de Mayo, which is such a funny holiday for us too. Well, maybe I'll leave this up for me, but for someone who's like myself who's Caucasian to go out and celebrate Cinco de Mayo, usually I go to like a Mexican restaurant.
Makes sense.
It's interesting to me how packed Mexican restaurants are on Cinco de Mayo. But if you go on Seis de Mayo, the food tastes just the same as Cinco de Mayo.
It's always good.
All right. What do you guys, with Tressa being from Mexico, Hispanic, does she cook anything special Cinco de Mayo?
No, they don't really celebrate it. It's kind of funny. It's more of an American holiday than it really is some of the...
I bought a pollo asada, carne asada, pollo asada, so seasoning from Costco.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
It might be just like regular chicken taco seasoning with a little extra spice in there. So I think I might, just give that a try and see if it's good or not.
Heck yeah.
Or we might go out.
Right.
Either or. Let's see, this past week, or might be 2 weeks now, I joined a gym.
Nice.
Which has felt good. I am going to be 42 this year, and I look every bit of a 42-year-old dad bod.
Same.
So I've been trying to find ways to shed the dad bod skin, so it's been kind of fun, and not also work out and not get distracted by the people. Best thing I saw this week was a woman on a treadmill reading a Kindle notebook or a Kindle Fire, whatever you call it, and the treadmill was probably at like the slowest pace, but yet she was able to maintain her composure in reading a book, which I cannot imagine multitasking, reading a book and on a treadmill.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might make me car sick doing that, but.
Yeah, I would too. Like I need to, I can tend to focus on TV is okay, but I can't do that. Too funny.
I've been enjoying it though.
And you're going to the Planet Fitness, right?
Yes, it's the Planet Fitness, and
I
it's
like
fun to
it.
watch the dudes flex their muscles in the mirrors. And I'm like one of those people that I try to sit on the benches between the mirrors so I don't have to watch
Right,
myself.
exactly. Yeah, I already know what the shows look
Right.
like. I know, yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Or go hide in the corner,
Yes,
But that's been the last couple weeks.
not bad. Yeah,
And our last episode was getting back. I think it was the indie film is called Getting Back, but
Yes.
the studio is River Wild Films. But we interviewed Haven, and if you haven't listened to that, please do. It was cool to get to know her, and she actually let me know recently that they were accepted at the Austin International Screenplay Festival, which is pretty prestigious for screenplays.
yeah, it is.
It's pretty awesome. And then they won quarterfinalists at the New York International Screenplays. So
That's
it's
huge.
pretty amazing. So I'm excited to keep getting updates from her. And she mentioned they're filming, I think in the middle of this month, they're going to start filming her indie film, Getting Back.
I love it.
And she has a ton of information on social media, I think both Instagram and Facebook. On our interview, she has some good info on the backstory of that film.
Yeah, good.
And also it's a good time of year for a little outside patio food and beverage at Too Shy right here in Roseburg. They're also in Reedsport, and they own Bandon Brewery and Pizza, so a couple spots along the coast. And then here in Roseburg, again, the white pages are dead, phone books don't exist, so you got to go to social media to get information. So go to Instagram, go to Too Shy. They have a couple of Instagram pages, Bandon Brewery and Pizza, Too Shy Roseburg, and Too Shy Reedsport, to check out everything they got going on.
Absolutely. And then, of course, with the warmer weather, you can now get frozen yogurt. It tastes good all year round. But at Video Games Plus and Level Up Yogurt, located in Roseburg, Oregon, off of Stevens, all kinds of new flavors every month, fresh fruit, build your own yogurt concoction you want, walk around. And they have pinball machines are popping off there, disc golf, shirts, video games. Man, any type of nerd hobby you can possibly be into is going to be in that little location. But
they got little taster things too. If you're not sure which frozen yogurt you want, they have little taster cups.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not gonna name any names, but somebody told me recently that they go in every now and again, just getting about like 10 taster cups and walks out.
10? 6 is there's only 6 different flavors. 10 means you're abusing the system.
Not naming names.
Oh my goodness. That's hilarious. I love it. All right. Oh, I'm excited about this episode.
Jam-packed.
Yes. I just went to the library. I checked out every book that was Bigfoot. Ones I had read, haven't read, that kind of stuff.
Big ones, little ones.
Little ones, yes. Of the 6 books I checked out, 2 of them only had good information. I know.
That's not good.
Just so you know, I highly recommend Yetis, Sasquatch, and Hairy Giants by David Hatcher Childress.
Well, and the cover art's amazing too.
Oh, it's great, right? The Abominable Snowman. Right?
Yes.
And then a newer book called The Secret History of Bigfoot, Field Notes on a North American Monster by John O'Connor. And I like this one. This one's more recent, but this one got some good information we're going to cover in this one here. But it's almost like that Josh Gates feel. Him just going around trying to find something.
Love Josh Gates.
So, yeah, I'm going to cover some stories from there. And also with the Bigfoot, the BFRO. Yeah, BFRO. Bigfoot Field Research Organization. Really good stuff on their website, and I'm going to cover some of their stories that tie into related articles I found in the books, okay?
Perfect.
So first, I want to read, why is Bigfoot in the Pacific Northwest?
That's a great question, Mark.
So, a guy named Peter Brine, who lives on the Oregon coast, an older gentleman. He was a prominent Bigfooter in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. Before that, he was a big game hunter in Nepal, and before that, he was a tea planter in Bengal. Before that, he was part of an elite Royal Air Force Sea Rescue Squadron in the South Pacific. So this guy, this crazy background stuff, right? His understanding of the habitat and dietary needs of large animals that Bigfoot couldn't cut it east of the Rockies. Viable territorial stretch upwards from Northern California through the coastal ranges of Washington and Oregon, and then over to the Cascades. Sometimes there's parts of Idaho that you can be seeing, but claims of Bigfoot popping up in, say, like Tampa are probably no basis in reality. He estimates that 85% of eyewitness reports outside the Pacific Northwest are bogus or hoaxes.
85%?
Yes, he is not. He doesn't. And it makes sense if you think about what a Bigfoot needs to eat and to do to survive and stuff. So,
I guess.
he's
When
right.
Well, I don't know, because has anyone ever met a Bigfoot to know what they need to eat and
That's just
survive?
it.
And we're just guesswork in here.
Oh, that's right. There's always type of guesswork.
I mean, they could adapt to the warmer climate.
I
right?
think they can too, right? You think they would want to almost.
There's plenty of places to hide down in Florida.
If it's a swamp, is it a different type of Bigfoot?
That's
then?
what I was just thinking, the same thing.
It's what do they call that?
Well, there's like the Rougarou.
Yep. I want to read this little snippet here. So we're going to start actually, since we are kind of a Pacific Northwest thing, Bigfoot stretches. I wanted to, back in time a little bit, the Oregon Journal reported in 1962 a story entitled Monster Sightings Rekindle Interest in Mount St. Helens Hairy Giant Saga. So Mount St. Helens is where I'm starting. This is in 1962 that 3 persons driving along a remote mountain road east of the Cascade Wilderness area had said that they saw a 10-foot white hairy figure moving rapidly along the roadside.
White.
The white-haired Sasquatch was caught in the headlights as their car passed, but they were too frightened to turn around and investigate. They apparently reported their sightings to the police. The Oregon Journal also said that a Portland woman and her husband fishing on the Lewis River south of Mount St. Helens saw a huge beige figure, bigger than any human, along the bank of the river. As they watched the tall creature, it moved into the thicket with a lumbering gait. Now, the article also mentioned that this is one of those Indian names, I gotta make sure I get right, is Colum Indian tribe of Washington State has traditions of hairy giants on Mount St. Helens. I want to be very clear here, the Colum Indian tribe of Washington State and near Mount St. Helens. So this is going to be really weird. Between the Bigfoot website for the field reporting and the other 2 books, I found a weird connection between this stuff. So I'm excited.
So it's not like Native American folklore. It's like the actual Bigfoot.
It's interesting because here's the deal. In every book you read about Bigfoot, all the Native American tribes had a word for him.
Right.
They all saw him. It's like matter of fact, like seeing a squirrel in the forest, you saw Bigfoot, right?
Just different words for him.
Exactly. In fact, the Colum Indians called the hairy giants, they called them Selahtik, Selahtik. I know I didn't get that right. Oregon Files Podcast at yahoo.com. Please correct me. They were a tribe of renegade, marauder-like people who lived like animals in the caves and lava tunnels in the high Cascades. That was from the Indian tribe. During the 1950s, as more roads were made into the remote forests of the Pacific Northwest, things started to heat up as far as claims of a Sasquatch encounters. On August 26, 1957, William Rowe provided a sworn statement about his encounter with a female Sasquatch. Rowe, who had worked as a hunter, trapper, and road worker, was doing a job in British Columbia during October of 1955. One day he hiked 5 miles up Mica Mountain to explore a deserted mine. As he was stepping out of a clearing, he saw what he thought was a grizzly bear. When the animal stood up, he realized it was no grizzly bear.
So that's when he realized it was a female?
Look, that I like that doesn't cover when he realized it was a female. The animal, a female Sasquatch, was 6 feet tall, 3 feet wide, and weighed approximately 300 pounds.
6 foot tall, 3 feet wide.
Yeah, 3 feet wide and weighing about 300 pounds, which once again, the weight, that's really assumptuous, especially on a female. You can't just assume that.
Yeah, you got hurt feelings.
Man, her arms reached almost to her knees, and when she walked, she put the heel of her foot down first. Rowe was hiding in some brush and was able to observe the creature from a distance of some 20 feet.
Now, do bears get that big? 6 foot?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Bears get big.
Stand
yeah. And over 300 pounds or more, even female ones. I don't know. He then watched, fascinated, as she used her white, even teeth to eat leaves from a nearby bush. Her head was higher at the back than the front. Her nose was flat. Only the area around her mouth was bare. The rest of her body was covered in hair, none of which was longer than an inch. The ears looked very much like a human's. The eyes were small and dark, similar to a bear's. This guy could have been seeing some weird hybrid. The more I think about this.
I was just thinking, yeah.
At this point, the animal caught Rowe's scent and walked back the way she had come, looking over her shoulder as she went. I love that the Bigfoot's the one weirded out. Like, that guy's just in the bushes watching me. I'm just going to
I'm just trying to get a snack.
This little snack, some weirdo
pervert.
Yeah. I'm a female Bigfoot. I have by myself.
Humans,
man,
you got to deal with.
So Rose said he wanted to find out whether the animal was a vegetarian or whether she consumed meat as well. He searched for and found feces in several places. Upon examination, no hair or insect shells were found. Okay, once again, how do you know it came from that animal? I respect that you're a hunter or trapper, that kind of stuff. You're like, because if you're going to find any poop in the woods, you can't just assume that's from a Bigfoot.
Right. And how do you test that? You just rule out all the other animals? It's just
I
don't
know. I
know.
got so many questions about it.
I just can't get over the image of just the Bigfoot looking over her shoulder.
Yeah, just
Like,
as
was
she's walking away,
was it like
she's
sassy, like walking away, just like shaking her hips, just like looking over her shoulder, like exiting like a bar, just
right.
like
She goes, ever since they put these
I'm
roads in
going
here.
home by myself. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah. Like, I didn't want this right now.
I didn't want.
I just wanted some peace and quiet. There's some
Right.
weird hunter guy,
Friday.
this hairless ape out here looking at me. Now, once again, that was by Mount St. Helens. So I want to do a little bit more. I'm going to segue a little bit, some history of Mount St. Helens. It is a volcano in
You nailed that.
Scamana County. It's in Washington, central Washington. Now, during the May 18th, 1980 eruption, Mount St. Helens' entire northern flank collapsed. Magma exploded from the crater, not straight up, but to the side, sending avalanches called pyroclastic flows down the slopes. Being in a pyroclastic flow is sort of like being in the most powerful hurricane on Earth, but with most of the atmosphere replaced by red-hot, pulverized rock. Such a flow can travel at speeds of hundreds of miles per hour, up and over ridges, down valleys, and around obstacles. People die by suffocating on the stone dust that fills their lungs, by burns from the enveloping ash cloud, or being torn apart by the force of the blast. Which means, and that's the scary part here, is that so some 150,000 acres of forest were destroyed. It was released more energy than the 1945 atomic explosions at Los Alamos.
Holy moly.
Also killed in the blast, legend has it, were Bigfoots. It's said that Bigfoot corpses were found in the Cowlitz River after the eruption, that the bodies were housed in a makeshift morgue until the Forest Service, in collusion with Weyerhaeuser and perhaps the U.S. Army, could airlift them out. There's even rumors that people saw a Chinook helicopter was seen flying overhead towing a cargo net filled with dead Bigfoots.
Now, how did no one take a picture of that? Or nothing like that leaked.
Yeah, it's real odd, but here's the best part about this. Guess what Scamina County does in 1984, 4 years after the eruption, right? They went ahead and made sure there was an ordinance and prohibited the killing of Bigfoot. Arguably, maybe it was a publicity stunt with the dual purpose of preventing overeager Bigfoot hunters who were flocking to the area after a rash of sightings, but from accidentally shooting each other. But it's weird that.
So word got out.
Word got out there's Bigfoots. All of a sudden, and so within 4 years of the eruption, they're like, hey, guys, it's illegal to hunt the Bigfoot. And so it's weird that they would put that out there.
That is weird.
4 years after the eruption, right?
I want to know who is involved with identifying the corpse of the Bigfoot. If they're still around today,
right?
Are they sitting around telling friends and family, hey, you wouldn't believe back in whatever the year that was?
Someone's going to talk, right?
Exactly.
The fact that you're going to have like the U.S. Forest Service, I don't know if they're paid that much to keep hush.
Exactly.
Right?
We're not talking about the CIA, FBI here. It's some of those guys might have been volunteers.
So many questions, right? We do know, though, that was with Mount St. Helens. In 2021, the author of this book was trying to go through there to try and find some sites of Bigfoot. Sadly, though, a lot of Bigfoot's home range of south central Washington had been destroyed to natural wildfires. So in the last...
Allegedly.
Yeah, since 2019, though, a lot of where Bigfoot would be, especially around Mount St. Helens and below, has been burned, has been devastated, that kind of stuff, too, which means it would place the Bigfoots elsewhere, right?
Right.
Well, now get this.
Is that area is it because it's super, they think Bigfoot would be there because it's super dense, like the woods? And
yeah, they got to be in dense locations for sure. Which brings me to a couple of the report cases I want to talk about here.
I love the report cases.
These are always my favorite. I got to do these in order.
What do you think the percentage of Americans that believe in Bigfoot? What would be your guess?
You know, gosh, was it? I would say it's an even 50. Do you know?
It's survey shows around 20 to 30% of Americans believe in Bigfoot.
I'm too optimistic.
But it could be higher. Many folks believe, but just they don't want to say it out loud.
That's right. So with the theory that Mount St. Helens, the whole central area is burned down, the Bigfoot's moved to a different county. So let's go back to, remember that Native American tribe that had a name for him? Colum County. So there's a Colum County named after the Colum Indians. And guess what? There's been a rash of Bigfoot sightings, especially 2, back-to-back in 2024 by 2 different people. Colum County is more towards the coast, but right under where Seattle would be, in that peninsula up there. This is report number 7771. This was 2024 fall, so not even a year ago. It was in October. Location was between milepost 182 and 183 on Highway 101 heading north. This report is, we were driving through a construction area on Highway 101. As we rounded a part of the highway, we seen a Sasquatch about 9 or 10 feet tall, at least 3 feet wide, at the shoulders.
Say that dimension again?
Is that crazy? At least, they said 9 or 10 feet tall and at least 3 feet wide at the shoulders. So now you have same state, 2 close measurements.
Now, if you saw that.
Yeah. 3 feet wide's bigger. See, bears to me aren't wide, though.
Would you slow back? Would you turn back around? Like how? Like you're driving along the highway.
Yeah.
You think you saw what you saw.
Yeah.
Would you how would you approach that?
If
would you
it-
just keep going and not? Would you just not talk about it until you get to the next town, your
here's the deal.
destination?
Very circumstantial. If
Right.
somebody else is in the car with me
Yeah.
and they saw what I saw,
Yeah.
we're good. We're not stopping or keep going on. If I'm with someone in the car I saw and they didn't, I'm turning around because I'm going to need someone else to verify what I saw.
Yeah.
If it's just me, I'm still going straight. I'm
Absolutely.
never doing anything by myself.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, like, I'm clumsy. I'm going to trip out of the car. Bigfoot's going to laugh.
He's gonna laugh. He's gonna put it.
How about you?
They might have their own social media where they do like human sightings of humans trying to find Bigfoot.
It's like Feetbook instead of Facebook.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. I'm not doing it by myself.
Yeah.
If I have somebody with me that saw it,
Right? Yeah.
I-
Like a song. Yeah.
I think we might have to try to at least go get some sort of evidence. I can't
Right? You got to,
footprint something.
something is, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
That's a big boy though.
It's wild. And I think that's what it is. Like, because
That's big.
I've seen bears walk on their hind legs and that kind of stuff. Like the circus,
9,
but
10
not
feet.
run
That
across
is
the
a
road.
big
Yeah.
dude.
He's eating well.
He definitely goes to the gym and looks in the mirror. I tell you that.
He's
much.
one of those people. He
Right.
really is. He hogs up the weight benches.
Planet Furnace. Sorry.
All right. It walked into the bushes and trees. The movement was sudden and erratic, like it was hurrying, but pushed the alder trees to the side. And within a few steps,
God.
we stopped seeing the brush moving and it disappeared completely. Its fur was black like bears, but it moved on 2 legs in a flash. Everything in total was about 5 seconds. So then the follow-up. So the cool part with all the stuff from the Bigfoot Field Research Organization is they have an investigator follow-up. So this is the investigator's follow-up with, because I spoke with both the husband and wife. They're both very credible. Both are actually Native American tribal members.
Oh, wow.
The Bigfoot was at the tree line, like roughly 15 yards from the edge of the highway. It was very tall and had very dark fur. Neither got a good look at the face, but the witnesses have seen bears many times, and they're absolutely certain it was not a bear. I want to do the other one here. I think this one's even better. This one's got a little more...
I like that they follow up.
Okay, yes, they follow up, and this one you're going to love. Okay, so this is one of my favorite cases I read. I had to read this one twice. This is report number 77561, also in Cullum County. This happened about 2 months before the one I just read. So this is all last summer. This is actually last July.
Okay.
So
about a
very
year.
recent. Once again, away from Mount St. Helens, away from where the fire was in the south. So Cullum County, once again, this happened on private property, so we won't be providing GPS locations for the location. The cabin property is a few miles outside the town of Beaver in the northwest corner of the Olympic Peninsula. So I was told this property has been in the family since the 1800s. I remember when I was a small child going there and something bad happened that scared me so bad I would never want to go back, but I can't remember what. 50 years later, I decided to go back for a family reunion camping trip on the property. We got there July 2nd, 2024, around noon. We set up camp. We set up the tents. It was staked into the ground. Afterwards, we visited with 2 family members that were staying in the cabin. Each day was clear and hot, and the nights were clear and very cold. The whole time, we felt like we were being watched. We had an uneasy feeling about being there. We heard lots of noises, roaring and growling, not like any animal we've ever heard before, but it was from a large animal, and a lot of whooping sounds. It was in one area, then another area as well. So we joked it almost sounds like they were talking to each other.
So multiple Bigfoot.
Yes. We would hear frogs croaking and then all of a sudden stop, and we would hear crackling of sticks and breaking of branches in the woods. My uncle said it's just animals in the woods and it was nothing to worry about. Logical answer, right? I get it.
Yeah. I'm sure the uncle felt safe too.
The uncle sleeps in the cabin. Okay, yeah, you're going to find out in the tents.
You'd stay out there.
My grandson and I went to bed at 11:26 p.m. We heard lots of fireworks going off, echoing through the valley. Since my mom was sleeping in the car, I moved the air mattress, queen size, about 3 feet tall, to the center of the tent. I laid on the side closest to the door. I climbed into the sleeping bag and put another blanket on top of the sleeping bag. I zipped up the sleeping bag and covered my head and put my flashlight inside the sleeping bag with me in case my grandson yelled for me. I love the details of this.
Yeah.
I was tired, so I don't remember falling asleep. When I slept, it was always a light sleep so I could hear my grandson. All of a sudden, I felt the back of the tent touch my back, and something grabbed my arm and started shaking the air mattress violently. Then a bright white light started shining on the back corner, but up off the ground of the tent, but there was no noise. I was so scared I could see the light through the blanket and sleeping bag. Whatever it was stopped shaking and bouncing the air mattress and let go of my arm and the light disappeared.
What would the light be?
Look, here's the best part about this one. The light threw me for a loop too. And there's a correlation between alien abductions, UFO abductions, and Bigfoot stuff. I don't know if that's the case there or if it was her flashlight got turned on. She was still kind of half out of it. I turned on my flashlight. No, the flashlight was off. I turned on my flashlight and sat up quickly and looked at my cell phone. It was 1:46 a.m. I looked back at the tent. It was moved forward about 5 to 7 feet. So the whole tent got moved.
Why would the Bigfoot? What would he get out of just grabbing? And how would he know where the arm was?
So there's a theory here. I got up and went and checked on my sleeping grandson who was next to her, and he was fine. He slept through the whole thing. I didn't feel at ease until halfway home, so they packed up the next day and were done.
Yeah, no kidding.
When I got home, I told my son what had happened and went and took a shower. When I got done, I was looking in the mirror, putting on deodorant, and noticed that fingerprints on my left arm and showed my son, and he took pictures.
Oh my gosh.
I left on Friday. By Sunday, I was told that my uncle, who was staying in the cabin on the property, was found staring and didn't know where he was. 911 was called, and they took him to the hospital. A couple days later, he died. It's a weird addition to the story because it's one part they see.
What the heck?
Right? So he dies. So the guy said it's just animals in the forest, dies a couple days afterwards, okay?
So he was found
just staring. He's like staring somewhere, did not know where he was. Sometimes it happens with old people when they're about to pass. He was paraplegic, so he's in a wheelchair, and they found him and took him to the hospital. He dies a couple days later. Alien abduction stuff in my book, but, you know.
or a heart attack from seeing a Bigfoot.
I agree. I get there. Okay, so here's the field researcher's notes. I called and spoke with the witness. She and her family were camping on family property near town of Beaver, Washington. I didn't know if I love that. Many years ago, when she was a small girl, something happened on property that made her not want to go back, but she does not recall what that is. The family was all together for 4th of July. There was a feeling of being watched, and all the family noticed and commented on it and laughed about it. She said they could hear owl calls and whoops and said it felt unusual. They also heard vocalizations that sounded like a roar growls that sounded angry. The sounds came from up the hill behind their tents. There was also frogs that would croak loudly but then stop. They could hear sounds of something big walking around the woods. Whatever was on top of the tent was also bouncing up and down on the air mattress while holding onto her arm. She said that it hurt. She has one of those tall air mattresses, about 3 feet high. Suddenly, there was a light that lit up the tent. She was not sure where the light came from. Whatever was bouncing on her tent and air mattress let go of her arm and left. She stayed up the rest of the night. When she got up that morning, she said that the tent had been pushed. The tent was not staked down. She packed up and went home the next day. I looked over the area on Google Maps and asked her if she could diagram, so you got a map of where it was at. There's many people there, including kids. Everyone heard stuff. Now, if it was a Sasquatch that night, then the family was definitely being observed for several days. There were many people there, including children. Children playing are a common element that brings Sasquatches, including their juveniles, to observe what is going on. Juvenile Sasquatches are known to be a lot less disciplined than the adults. A juvenile possibly jumped onto the tent from the nearby tree with enough force to slide the tent along the grass. The tall air mattress would have acted like a trampoline, which would have encouraged the Sasquatch to bounce up and down.
So he just had like a teenager playing a prank?
Needing to
hold, like hanging out with his buddies. He's like, hey,
I'm going to jump on this tent.
Right. Hey, Ted, watch this.
Headless apes out of here.
Right.
Needing to hold on to something, it grabbed whatever it could and just happened to grab the witness's arm.
So it's just a clumsy Sasquatch falling out of a tree?
I love that. I honestly love that angle because it helps explain a lot of the stuff.
I love that that's the logical answer.
Isn't that crazy? Now the wild part is the researcher himself got invited to be on the property and is going to do an on-scene investigation.
So she had uneasy feelings to begin with?
Oh yeah, she had something happen to her when she was younger there,
which could have been Bigfoot
or an alien abduction. Here's what the light takes away from the Bigfoot for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the part's a little weird to me.
Yeah, because I don't think a Bigfoot's walking around with a flashlight. He's not, like, oh, I got, 800 powered,
and if you're falling out of a tree, wouldn't you hear wouldn't there have been feet or
grunts or, what I mean?
Like, like you fall out.
Oh, jeez. Right. Bigfoot. Oh, yeah, like making all kinds of weird noises. I love it.
But it's interesting to me that,
yeah,
would she tell her grandson? Because if you think about the cycle of it, something happened to her when she was younger. That she felt uneasy.
Yes.
Same spot, got your grandkid there. Do you tell your grandkid that way when he's older, he goes back and it's like the same sort of like,
it's
you know what I mean?
There's so many questions about it. I have so many because that's a good story. It's a good movie.
Very interesting.
That was all Washington. I want to bring this back to Oregon. And so I think Golem County, I call it Golem because that's how I can remember to pronounce it. Golem County.
We're going to get some emails on that one.
Yeah, look, if it can associate the Lord of the Rings, I will. Golem County.
Mount Doom. Yeah.
Sorry, 2024.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 sightings right there, 2 different ones coming over from the Native Americans had a name for it. So I think that's the thing. Now I'm going to talk to you about some stuff in Oregon. Across Upper West California and Southwestern Oregon, covering 11 million acres, runs the Klamath-Siskiyou Wilderness.
Beautiful area.
I didn't know that goes all the way up to Roseburg. Did you? Because I did not. I had to map how far up that location went. And I didn't realize it goes that far up.
Oh, wow. I had no idea either.
I didn't either. So it goes all the way. Of course, a lot of it is on the Pacific Ocean. 2 stories. I'll do the most recent one first. I'm going to do the 2 other fun ones here. So we have a story from this year already in the Siskiyou area. Which, didn't you have something about a Bigfoot trap in the?
Yes, sir. A Bigfoot trap that's still there in the Rogue River Siskiyou National Forest, which is in Jackson County, Oregon, about 3 miles from the California border. It's believed to be only one of its kind. The trap was designed in 1974 to capture a Bigfoot. It obviously failed to accomplish this, but it was abandoned in the early 80s. Interesting, the trap is actually maintained. It's a novelty touristy attraction, I guess. But the Forest Service maintains it. It sits along the Collins Mountain Hiking Trail. It's a 10 by 10 box. Forest Service special use permit was issued for its construction. The trap store had been bolted since 1980s for visitor safety. So anyway, it was built in 1974 by the North American Wildlife Research Team.
Wild.
Yeah. Still there. You can visit it.
Well, guess what? That's going to help tie into this another report number 78322. Which took place 2025 in Jackson County, Oregon.
Which there's a lot of dense forestry down that area. So
dense,
yeah, a lot of good spots for the old Bigfoot.
This is by Butte Falls. I was motorcycle camping in the Rogue National Forest Friday night, about 3 miles from Forbit, a campground. I have the exact location of my campsite marked on my GPS. I had a campfire, ate some dinner, and went to bed around 9 p.m. At 11:52 p.m., I woke up to the sound of what I believe was an elk running behind my tent, crashing through the forest. I would estimate it was at least 100 yards away. I've heard elk before, but that's not what it sounded like. About 2 minutes later, from the same direction of what I thought was the elk, I heard a distinct percussive sound that sounded like wood on wood. Each strike was about 1 second apart. This is something I'd never heard before, so it caught my attention. At this point, I was listening closely. Roughly a minute later, I heard 3 more identical knocks, but they were further away. I would estimate 100 yards to the right of where I'd heard the first set of knocks. Another minute passed, and further off in the distance, I heard yet another set of 3 knocks in the same pattern as the first and second set.
Now, the 3 knocks is something we hear over and over again
A lot.
when folks talk about the Bigfoot sightings and stuff.
It's got to be a form of
interesting.
communication, right? Like 3 knocks means there's humans by, because at this point,
right, we solved it.
He heard 1 more set of identical knocks in the clearing. It seemed like the same animal was making the sounds, moving away from my location, and sounded like you said it was following the path of something. At the time, I was struck by how fast the creature was moving away from me. I had been up in the area earlier in the day and was old clear cut, and it was a tangled mess of branches and brambles. It was tough going. A man couldn't have covered that much ground in pitch black darkness that fast in a tangled mess of a clear cut. It was the craziest thing he ever experienced.
That's why I don't go camping.
No, I'm not interested.
Nope.
Not interested. I don't want to hear something I can't explain.
All right. I don't want to see some shining lights. I don't know what that is.
Okay, so now I got 2 here. Now, once again, I think there was a little hot bit of activity in 2019 on the Oregon coast.
Good fishing. Good
fishing and good Bigfoot hunting. This case number is 63141. This was witnessed on Tuesday, July 23rd, 2019. 1.5 miles up Goodman Creek Road off Highway 58. So nearest town is Dexter. It took us about an hour to cut our way with chainsaws. The road was blocked by trees from the winter snowstorm. We were the first ones back in there. We were going in to look for remains of an old homestead. We had walked up from the truck about 100 yards. It was an old logging unit, trees about 10 to 12 feet tall. Had to pick and cut our way through the ferns and blackberries. I walked in a small opening on a rise. I just happened to look out across the drainage. I noticed the outline of what looked like a person, but way out of proportion. I called my friend to come over and look at what I was seeing. I'm old and the vision is not what it used to be. I wasn't sure I was looking at a shadow, but there it was, moved about 2 feet to the left. and just stood there and looked straight at us.
I've been described to way out of proportion.
Way out of
so-
proportion. I want to know, this would be funny if it's the same female Bigfoot. She's like, more guys
these
watching
guys,
Yeah.
they'll never take a hint when I look over my shoulder.
We watched it, still not believing what we were seeing. It was perfectly still. After a minute or two, we turned away for about 10 to 20 seconds, turned back, and it was gone. No doubt 100% gone. We were looking at the head and shoulders down to the mid-abdomen. I've worked in the woods since I was 14 years old. I'm 62, and I've seen many black bears and brown bears, moose, buffalo. Nothing comes close to the size of what we saw. And the researcher followed up with them. I talked to the witness by phone. The witness had worked as a logger and tree planter. He enjoys exploring old homesteads and was doing this on his day when he saw the figure about 200 to 225 yards away. The figure sidestepped and tried to hide behind a little sparse tree.
You know what's fascinating to me about all these Bigfoot sightings?
What's that?
Even ones where people are close to Bigfoot, that they're not aggressive.
They're not.
You know what I mean? Like
I read 3 books, and there's not one where a Bigfoot was aggressive.
Right. Isn't that interesting? Because
Yeah.
out of all the sightings, you never really hear, I was attacked by, it's like, they're foragers. They're just out there to, I guess, survive and eat plants. I don't know. But, well, I guess take away the fact that the one with the tent thing. I mean, if that was a Bigfoot. But
I think it was if it was a juvenile Bigfoot in a tree and he slipped and fell in the tent and he's just trying to grab his balance.
Such an amazing Bigfoot story.
He's never been on an air mattress before.
Right,
He's never had
like,
that sensation of a trampoline.
Right.
Of course he's going to grab whatever he can.
You know he got kicked out like the Bigfoot colony the next day.
They gave him so much crap about
Right.
it. Like, you remember the time you grabbed that lady's arm?
Right. Still talking about it.
Yeah. You scared the crap out of that guy. He died in his wheelchair. So I'm saved the best for last.
Yeah.
This story is my favorite. This is report number 76973. This was 2019 as well, Douglas County, near Coos Bay. Once again, 2019, a lot of Bigfoot activity in that area. So this was October of 2019.
COVID.
Our cabin was on a lake in a wooded area, and the salmon had just come into the lake from the river before they went into the tributaries of spawn. It was nearest town is Florence. The nearest road is 101 County Line Road. My husband and I had an off-the-grid cabin in a coastal lake area in Oregon. It only powered with a generator in an outbuilding about 20 feet from the back of our cabin. The area between our cabin and the generator building is gravel and grass. It is an unobstructed view from the back window. We had a kitchen light on and one other lamp on in the front room. At about 10 p.m. at night on October 3rd, 2019, we heard a noticeable bang on our cabin. It was loud enough that we looked at each other and said, "What was that?" My husband went outside with his gun and looked around on the side in front of the cabin, but nothing was found. We sat back down. A few minutes passed on, and again we heard another same loud bang. This time I turned off the TV and lights, and he looked out the window, and we also went into our bedroom, which was on the back side of the house. In the light from the generator, we saw a huge figure that began to move toward the light of the generator shed window, where my husband could see the creature extremely well. He called me and said to come here and said, "You won't believe this." I took one look at it, and it scared me so badly I ran to another room. I knew right away it was a Sasquatch. My husband spent more time looking at it. He paid attention to where the top of its head was on the light and the window seal of the generator room.
What the heck?
It had a flat face with a prominent brow and was covered in reddish brown hair all over its body. It had block-type teeth and lips with a flat type of nose. It walked upright and swung its arms to the side as it moved. The look on its face was a look of curiosity and had intelligence to it. It did not seem aggressive, and it did not approach it, but we did not approach it or threaten it. After about 2 minutes, it moved into the woods.
What the? If it doesn't seem aggressive and you're that close to it, wouldn't you have some sort of peace offering? Like throw them like some leftover hamburger you have or something, or
just something, right? Break some bread, right? Give
exactly.
He would probably love a
show
right?
show that you don't mean any harm,
right? Here's a cupcake.
I mean, what if it is intelligent and it can actually if it's been around humans,
right?
Maybe it has a simple form of communication.
You do 3 knocks to it, blow his mind. knock, knock, knock. What?
See, that would have been perfect.
Now, see, now I want to meet a Bigfoot, so I can do 3 knocks. I'm going to 3 knocks to Bigfoot.
They must not have known about the 3 knocks.
That
is that. Dang, only if they knew about the 3 knocks. They read about it afterwards.
2 Shih Tzu adult dogs that had been housed broken for years. They were also barkers to let us know if something was around. The dogs were quiet, huddled in a corner, and both of them peed on the floor.
Oh my gosh, it scared the pee out of them.
Scared the piss out of them. After the creature walked off into the darkness, my husband said we needed to leave the area. So we picked up the dogs, and each of us had a gun, and we hit the panic alarm on the truck to cause the lights to flash and the horn to honk.
Now, why, if the thing's not aggressive, why are we setting off panic alarms?
Here's the deal. Anything bigger than me, I'm already feel threatened. I love the idea. I love the idea of setting off your car because even if no one else is nearby, it's going to scare whatever else is, right? I thought it was smart. But you're right. It's not being aggressive at all. It's just curious.
You don't bother with it.
It was never our intent to use the guns to shoot the creature, as it looked almost humanoid. We only carried them for our protection in case it became aggressive. We then ran to the truck and fled down the road. Upon returning the next morning, my husband measured how tall the creature was from where he'd, did his eye measurements, as he knew it was over 8.5 feet tall. We did not find any footprints, as solid as the land is hard packed and mossy. However, the fern in the area that was trampled down and mushrooms kicked up. We got trail cams and put apples out on our deck after the incident. The cameras were moved. So the camera got moved, and then when they came back, the apples were gone. The follow-up is really interesting. So he goes, I spoke with the witnesses at length over the phone. They're both very credible, respectable, retired Oregonians. The incident happened on their off-grid lake cabin. They sold the cabin. They were scared about it. They sold the cabin. The new people bought it were actually very excited about it because they wanted to see a Bigfoot. Now, the weird part in the follow-up was the couple explained that after seeing the creature, they immediately called the sheriffs before gathering their dogs and guns to leave. About 20 minutes later, they met the deputies a few miles from the cabin. So they drove down off the road and met the deputies at the end of the road. The couple explained what happened, and the deputies requested to return to the cabin with them so they could have a look around. They all went back to the cabin. The deputies retrieved their AR-15 type rifles from the trunk before walking around in the darkness there.
That same night?
Same night.
Yeah.
The couple and deputies found the pathway to the grass where the figure walked away into the woods. They could see the step impressions in the grass leading away from the cabin, but the step impressions were not fit for casting. The deputies did not try to persuade the retired couple that they had merely seen a common animal like a bear. When the couple asked the deputies if they had ever received calls like this from around that area, the deputies looked at each other and said, yes, a few times.
I'm sure it's common. They probably have like procedures in place. But it's also fascinating to me, though, out of how many records, how many accounts that people have seen Bigfoot. No, has anyone shot one and killed and actually like here's a body of one? You know what I mean?
And there's
or accidentally shot one when you're hunting.
That's what I think would happen more. Like you'd accidentally shoot one when you're hunting.
Right.
They had pictures of the cabin. Everything. This is a really well-documented case. They even did the theory of what the bang was, and it had, like those blue recycle bins that you can put your cans in. They realized that had been kicked off a little bit. So they think the Bigfoot was actually trying to look into the kitchen window where the light was.
Could you imagine looking at your kitchen window and there's a Bigfoot staring right back at you?
My biggest fear. I would lose it. I'd be done. The willies. Can you imagine? You look out your window, you see something looking in.
I don't even know if I would scream. Mouth would open, no sound would come out.
That's it'd be like a bad dream. Yeah. The Bigfoot, I love that it's got like a Harry and Henderson's face. It's like kind of
That's
curious.
exactly what I imagine.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we got juvenile falling out of a tree. We have
which I love.
A Bigfoot who's just going around looking for recycling.
Actually bangs up.
Right. Bigfoot just sounds like a big clumsy ape.
That's, it's the Native American.
Who doesn't want any sort of to do with harming humans.
Yes,
it's curious more than anything, if it exists.
Right?
But with everything we've talked about, how could it not exist?
It's crazy.
I feel like it's more
Yeah.
possibility of it existing than doesn't exist.
Every single time I do the research, I think to myself, this can't be a thing. And then
Right.
the more I research, the more I'm like, the very credible witnesses, people who've worked in the woods. Because what benefit does this couple get out of telling this story? You know what I mean? They're not going to get fame or notoriety about this.
And what's I don't want to butcher this, but like the definition of science is a hypothesis, but then being able to recreate it twice or something like that. I can't remember what the saying is, but I think that's how that's how to me it would be 100% proven, being able to recreate, instead of, oh, here's a sighting, here's a sighting, here's a sighting. So
I still argue they're an endangered species, and a lot of the Native Americans have the consensus is from the Native Americans is that they want to be left alone. They don't want to be.
Sure.
You know what I mean? They just want to be left to their own thing.
Yeah.
It was funny he's talked about what they eat, but a lot of them say that they eat nuts, berries, pine cones, leaves, that kind of stuff. Very It's hard because every time they do find, even when we watch those Josh Gates shows, they always
Yeah.
find patches of hair or something like
Right.
that. Always comes back inconclusive,
Right, exactly.
which means that, okay, it doesn't match any known other thing out there, which
Right.
means it's probably something new.
Right. And those case numbers, I mean, those are what, 8 out of hundreds and hundreds of files. I mean, there's
You can go by state, by county,
Right.
and they're vetted. That's
and what's
the
the
thing.
site called again?
The BFRO, Bigfoot Field Research Organization.
Bigfoot.
Yeah. Make sure I have that right.
Yeah.
Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization. And credible. I mean, the fact that there's a phone number, there's a contact line that's founded in
Right.
1955, but they did a lot of historical cases. They vet their stuff. I mean, it's not
Right.
just, you can't just get in there and say, I got drunk and saw a Bigfoot.
Right.
No, they're going to want proofs. They're going to vet it.
Right. Interesting.
In Oregon and Washington, very high in the reports.
Mhm.
So
It always has been. This is I found this on a website called mentalfloss.com.
solid.
All right. So this is supposedly the origin of how the word Bigfoot came to be.
Okay.
Okay. So on the morning of August 27th, 1958, a gentleman by the name of Jerry Crew was working for a California logging company. He noticed a few abnormally large footprints in the dirt around his bulldozer. He didn't really think much of them at first, but then there was about 30 other men alongside of him that worked on Bluff Creek Road. It's a timber access route it was being cleaved through a bunch of Douglas fir in the Six Rivers National Forest. Lots of black bears in the area, mountain lions, so there could have been different culprits.
Yeah.
When the crew climbed onto his tractor and looked down, he thought twice. The prints were enormous. They were about 16 inches long and 7 inches wide and set deeply into the graded dirt road, suggesting something heavier than a lumberjack or a bear had made them. Crew told his foreman, a gentleman by the name of Wilbur Shorty Wallace, that he has seen. Wallace wondered if the track maker was responsible for a series of a lot of odd occurrences that were happening on Bluff Creek Road. There was an oil drum that went missing, a spare tire got thrown into a gully.
Wild.
Other workmen would share stories of human-like footprints found at other work sites. Tools would vanish overnight. Steel cabbies were being dragged uphill and abandoned. The men referred to the responsible party as Bigfoot.
Wow.
The crew's story eventually caught national attention. The Humboldt Times columnist Andrew Genzoli, who on October 6th wrote a front-page article, shortened the word to Bigfoot. After the piece was picked up by the wire services, both the New York Times and LA Times, Bigfoot entered the national stage. Sasquatch was another term for the creature, is a form of the Selkwish word, which is
Crazy.
Sasquatch, which is,
Yeah,
I guess,
makes
is
sense.
another
Okay,
Native
yeah.
American, which means wild men.
Makes
It was
okay.
coined in 1929 by a teacher in British Columbia. A few short weeks later, Bigfoot was mentioned on the NBC quiz show Truth or Consequences, was hosted by Bob Barker then.
What?
It had a $1,000 question, who could explain how Bluff Creek tracks had been made? It went all the way to a TV show.
That's crazy.
Throughout the fall of 1958, the people of Humboldt County puzzled over the same question. A logger suggested that tracks had been left by a big-footed Swede, a Swedish person.
Well, they blame the Swedes.
Right. Because many lumberjacks were Swedish descent. Other folks pegged Oma, which is a giant forest monster of local Hoopa Indian native, a legend. Native American lore being rife with similar creatures added fuel to the Bigfoot fire. The idea stuck and contributed to the image of Bigfoot we have today. Another prime suspect was a man named by Ray Wallace. He was a brother of Shorty and a co-owner of the Wallace Construction. Wallace was a prankster, a yard spinner. He was perhaps a conman. Writer Robert Michael Pye, who got to know Wallace later in life, remembered him. He loved being the joker and fooling people. When the news of Bluff Creek tracks hit, many locals assumed that he was behind it. He denied the charges, even telling Humboldt Times that he sued the accusers for slander.
Wow.
The tracks, as anyone could see, were bear prints, Wallace said. But a couple years later, he claimed to have captured a young Bigfoot. And guess what he was feeding it? Frosted Flakes. Because of all that thing. Well, like, what are you saying? He said he was going to sell it. He was told the news and press he was going to sell this Bigfoot for $1 million.
Hey, why not?
But when people went to go purchase it or buy it, he wasn't able to produce it. And when a lower offer was made, he said he pulled out of the deal. Wallace was also rumored to have played a part at Bigfoot's filmic debut, the 1967 infamous Patterson-Gimlin film, which was perpetrated to show a blurry and dark-haired Bigfoot striding across Bluff Creek. Eventually, the hubbub and the whole thing died down as Bigfoot's fame expanded beyond Bluff Creek to the rest of the country. And then in 2002, when Wallace was 84 years old, he passed away from heart failure, and his family announced that it had been him all along.
Wow.
Ray L. Wallace was Bigfoot, his Michael told the Seattle Times. The reality is Bigfoot just died. Wallace's family showed off a 16-inch carved wooden feet that claimed he used to make the tracks that Jerry Crew found on Bluff Creek back in 1950s.
So the whole thing of Bigfoot
was started as a hoax. As they told it, Wallace liked to clomp around in the woods with fake feet. He did it just for a joke, and then he was afraid to tell anyone because they were so mad at him.
That's hilarious. I'd be pretty mad too.
It goes on here. Logger John Auman, a former employee of Wallace, had another take. If your rig was parked overnight, you might as well figure it would have no tires in the morning. Asserting that his boss planted the tracks around the equipment to scare off work thieves. This is how it all started.
Wow.
So he thinks that it started because he was trying to keep people away from stealing his stuff. So the whole thing started, supposedly the whole thing started with a guy with a prank or keeping thieves away by planting the big, but he was too afraid to say anything, gained national attention. And that thing blew up before he even knew. He's like, this thing got away from me. The thing literally just, I thought that was really
crazy,
interesting.
Huh?
Right?
How the whole name Bigfoot comes from.
Right.
Yeah, some guy messing around.
Right. Of course. Right.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Transitioning to a different topic. Well, recently we had a holiday, Easter. Whether you celebrate Easter or not, up to you. But here are some facts I found about 2025 Easter. $24 billion was total Easter-related spending expected in 2025. That's average about $190 per person.
Is that just on candy and plastic eggs?
Right? $3.3 billion projected Easter spending candy. $3.3 billion projected Easter spending on candy. That's so much money. $49,000 price of the world's most expensive Easter chocolate bunny.
How much?
$49,000.
For one chocolate bunny?
Apparently.
No.
77% share of people who eat chocolate bunnies, they eat the ears first.
Yeah, it makes sense.
$3.8 billion will be spent on gifts. Were spent on gifts. 54% of Easter celebratory, whatever, say they'll buy their holiday goods at grocery stores. I love this one. Half of parents will make Easter baskets for the kids. 89% of Easter baskets will include either chocolate or candy. 25% jelly beans, 14% Peeps. 60% of parents plan on sending Easter baskets to their children after they moved out. That's sweet.
Wow.
90 million chocolate bunnies are sold in the U.S. each year for Easter. Okay. That's a lot of chocolate bunnies.
That is a lot of chocolate bunnies.
16 billion jelly beans consumed for Easter, enough to circle the globe 3 times. Oh my gosh. I love 3 and 4 parents plan to discuss eating candy in moderation with their kids. I love that's 3 and 4.
3 to 4.
3 to 4. 5 and 6 parents monitor their children's consumption. Mm-hmm. And then this is one I meant to say I love. 80% of parents steal candy from their kids' stash. You know, and that's a great 80%. That's a heck of a high number.
That is surprisingly high. How people will steal candy from their kids that believe in Bigfoot.
Right. Chocolate Easter bunnies. 77% eat their ears first. 16% eat the feet first. 6% are your weirdos who eat the tails first.
I was gonna say, what does it say about you? Like, I want to do that test, like how you eat
the personality
test says about you. Yeah.
How we like our chocolate eggs. 41% like the solid chocolate. 36% filled with caramel, peanut butter, or chocolate ganache.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
23% a hollow chocolate. Now,
Hollow
there's
chocolate.
another personality test right now because
Right?
23% hollow?
Hollow.
Sir.
You're just wasting your money.
15,873 pounds, the weight of the largest ever chocolate Easter egg. An adult male African elephant weighs over 16,000 pounds. That is crazy.
That's wild.
42% of Americans say Easter bunny came before the Easter egg. What?
That's hilarious.
25 flavors of marshmallow peeps are available. 59% of parents say they carried an Easter tradition from their childhood.
Oh, that's sweet.
It is sweet. 77% of Americans are excited to start new traditions with their families. Top family Easter activities. 83% Easter egg hunt. 69% eating candy. Dyeing eggs, 69%.
Wow.
Taking family photos, 58%. Making Easter dinner, 57%. $180 million eggs are purchased for Easter. We're here. 1878 was the year of the inaugural White House Easter egg roll.
Wow.
Not sure what that was.
Just rolled it down a hill.
Roll it down. Hope everyone had a nice Easter.
Do you think, because I feel like traditions start to die off now, because I noticed them even in my own timeline. Do you think like in 100 years, 200 years, it won't be chocolate bunnies? There'll be something else, like a chocolate raccoon or
chocolate porcupine or something.
Yeah.
Something weird. It's possible.
Chocolate porcupine with pretzels sticking out.
Hey, we're on to something there.
That's it.
So recently, the Pope passed away.
God rest his soul.
And there is a great movie out called Conclave, which
good.
I learned so much from that movie. I had no idea there was an actual process involved to vote in the new pope. So I looked up 25 intriguing facts and stories about popes.
Yes.
I'm not reading all these. Pope Benedict XVI would fly his helicopter but never learn to drive a car. Oh, I thought this was interesting. According to the Seventh-day Adventists, the Pope will be the Antichrist. Now, that's controversy. Now, I hope I didn't just make this up because I'm going to get some Seventh-day Adventists yelling at us. But that's fascinating.
That's weird. That's
right?
Yeah.
In 1537, the Pope announced that Native Americans were rational beings with souls and shouldn't be enslaved. There you go.
Wow.
Boy, we learned that one, huh?
Right?
If you were awarded one of the 5 orders of knighthood by the Pope, you could enter St. Peter's Basilica on horseback. It's cool.
Hey, it's good. It's a good perk.
Pope Francis was once a nightclub bouncer.
Was he really?
That's what it says. Let's see here.
I love that image.
All right. In 1269, the cardinals took almost 3 years to elect the Pope.
Whoa.
To speed up the process, the villagers in Viterbo refused to send cardinals anything more than bread or water.
Good.
Speed it up. Let's see here. Pope Benedict the 12th was elected by accident. This is because back in the day, the cardinals would all vote for a random candidate during the first round of voting to see who everyone else was leaning towards. However, they all voted for the same person.
That's amazing. That's like everybody did the write-in joke vote.
That's the funniest thing to me.
No one's going to vote for this guy. Let's all write him in.
And nobody's voting for Pope Benedict the 12th, or I guess whatever his name was back in the day.
Like the Jar Jar Binks?
Right.
It's me.
Let's vote it. It's like when I vote you for mayor every year. One of these days, you're going to get voted for mayor.
I do my write-in vote too for me.
Right.
And one of these days.
Made me laugh. Some people wanted Pope Clement VII to ban coffee because they thought it was the devil's beverage.
It is.
After tasting some coffee, though, the Pope said it would be a sin to only let unbelievers drink something so delicious.
Bless his soul.
In 2000, the Pope gave his support to the world of Pokemon in order to counteract the controversy that it was the work of the devil.
Wow.
I don't know if you know more of that, but I don't.
I have heard of like the images and that kind of stuff and the whole people get obsessed with it. And so, yeah, that's cool. I'm glad he gave the blessing.
This might be one of my favorite ones. Pope Gregory IX thought cats were an incarnation of Satan. This led to a massive killing of cats, which caused a massive increase in rat population.
Wow.
Which caused a massive outbreak of Black Death. Who looks at a cat? I mean, I guess I can kind of see there's some cats that just are not friendly. I get it. But who looks at it and be like, the devil? And then orders all the cats to be killed?
Do you think when they started having the rat problems, someone came and said, hey, we have a cat catastrophe on our hands?
Oh, man. I was going to ask you this because the guy that was on the gentleman that made up the whole thing about the Bigfoot, like on his deathbed.
Yeah.
Like, I know we can't plan what's going to happen with us dying, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But like, if you're in a position, you're late in your 80s, you got family surrounded you, like, do you think you'd be like, tell like, maybe not like a wild story, but like something that they may be able to believe something you did in your life?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to go down. Are you kidding? I'm going to have
Just
so
some
many rumors
random
about
thing.
me when I go around. Because I've heard about people say like I buried the treasure here, or something like that, and it turns out I was just thinking there was like a joke, like I just left a joke or
You'd be
something.
like, I really invented Nutella.
Yeah,
Just like something random.
I'm DB Cooper.
Right. I don't know. I was thinking about that earlier. Like, what would be kind of funny to just say like on your deathbed, just like leaving a last like impression and just like fade off into the sunset, and they'd be like, did he just
say? Yeah. Right? Because you gotta get like your last minute confessions before you go out. So that, but then you're right.
You're like, I never really liked your cooking.
Right? It's with guilt. Yeah.
Right. Ends with a guilt. Your chicken was always dry. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, something. I don't know. We got time to think about it, hopefully.
I love it. All right.
Anyway, okay. So 2 questions were in the Mario universe, do you go with flower power or star power? What's your preference?
Flower power is going to last longer.
Absolutely.
Right? Star power is great, but I don't need to be a juggernaut for 2 minutes.
That's right. Star power, you power through, you get lucky, and then the music dies down, and you start stressing out that you're not getting as far as you want with the star power.
Yeah.
Flower power, I feel like it's also more common that you can just kind of keep it up with it. And then every now and again, you get whatever the ice power is called with the penguins.
Right,
like
exactly. And then you get the Tanuki power with the raccoon.
Right. Good one, too.
Yeah, like
Mario, Super Mario 3.
Yeah,
yes.
If you have the flower power thing where you can just, because you're throwing fireballs, you could probably find a good job. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to
find a good job.
Like, you know,
burning weeds.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Starting
fires.
Until someone bonks you in the head and you lose the flower.
Oh.
And
or
then,
Bigfoot lands on you.
While you're camping. Grabs your arm so it doesn't slip anymore. And then what was the other? Was the favorite spring dessert?
Favorite spring snack.
Yeah.
I don't know if these are all year round, but I feel like I've been eating them more recently. Spring is little mandarin oranges. I can eat 2 or 3 at a time. They're a good snack.
Cuties, right?
Cuties.
Yes.
I don't know if they're healthy for you or not, but I think they're delicious. They're a good snack.
Yeah.
They might be nutritious.
Okay.
A little healthier.
I respect it. By the way, I always get the name of this cake wrong, and I always have to ask Teresa. It's called a hummingbird cake. Hummingbird cake is a banana pineapple spice cake originated in Jamaica. Includes flour, sugar, salt, vegetable oil, ripe bananas, pineapple, cinnamon, pecans, vanilla extract, eggs, and a leavening agent. Is often served with cream cheese frosting.
Oh my God, that sounds...
It's deliciously decadent. I've only had it once in my life.
That sounds amazing.
And I think about it every spring.
Doesn't have to be spring. We want to shoot off dad jokes.
Why was the zoo with one dog crappy?
Why?
Because it was a shih tzu.
That was good.
And it's one of my favorite jokes because it's cursing, but it's not cursing.
Yeah, that's cute.
Right. This is pretty good. Spring is here. I'm so excited. I wet my plants.
That's perfect.
That's so good. This is the first time I ever heard a different punchline for this one. A blind man walked into a bar and a table and a chair. That's terrible. It's pretty good. How did the hipster burn his mouth?
How the hipster burned his mouth? I don't know.
He ate pizza before it was cool.
Oh, wow.
I don't know why it had to be pizza, but that's pretty good.
Right. Took me a little bit.
Why did the Witches team lose the baseball game? The Witches team lose the baseball game.
Swept, brooms.
Their bats flew away. That was pretty good. What did one toilet roll say to the other toilet roll?
What?
People keep ripping me off. That was pretty good.
That is good.
And then, why did the can crusher quit his job? Why did the can crusher quit his job?
I don't know.
Because it was so depressing.
Oh, poor guy.
Did you ever hear the story of the magic sandwich? And I'm ending on this joke, by the way.
What?
The story of the magic sandwich. It's just a bunch of baloney.
Those are good.
There we go. We're dead.
I feel like those might have been the best dad jokes we've had.
Man,
I've learned so much this episode. This has been an educational episode.
Man, so much on Bigfoot. I thank you we have requests. People want to know more Bigfoot stuff. So I'm glad we were able to get more new information. And
our 4th year, our 3rd Bigfoot episode.
That's right.
So I can't imagine that the Bigfoot sightings will slow down anytime.
That's the wild part, right?
The truth is out there.
Truth is out there.
And if you want to get a hold of the show, OregonFilesPodcast@yahoo.com, Instagram. I'm just putting random posts out there sometimes. Check us out on Instagram, the Oregon Files Podcast. Appreciate all the listens. Mark puts it on YouTube. And that's all I have to say about that.
That's right.
Thank you all.
Thank you, and have a great day.
Cheers.
Bye.